Yep, and we are live. Namaste, crypto aficionados. Welcome to the Digital Capitalist Show. And today we have Chris Rice, Rice Crypto. Thank you for being on the show. You're my second guest. Thank you so much. And finally, we get a chat face to face after being, Facebook friends for a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And so please tell us, how did you, just a bit brief introduction about yourself, and how did you start in crypto?
Okay.
Yep.
Well, Deepak, first I want to say thank you
Yeah.
for inviting me on your show. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll definitely share this with the people that watch my channel, and hopefully we can get some more people to check out and subscribe to your channel as well.
Thank
So I
you.
do appreciate the invitation. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you.
And yes, I'm Chris Rice, is my name. My brand, when I first started my YouTube channel, I was going by Rice Crypto.
Mhm.
And over the past couple of months, I've been in a rebranding process of
Mhm.
changing it over to Rice
Rice
TVX,
Tvx. Yeah.
just because I'm covering so much more than just cryptocurrency.
All right.
And I started doing that last year. And
Mhm.
as a result of that, I felt that having the name Rice Crypto is kind of limiting me a little bit with
Mhm.
branching out and being able to get more subscribers and more viewers for my channel. I was making appearances on other people's channels that weren't crypto or blockchain.
Mhm.
And I feel like some people may not have been interested in checking out my content because they may
Mhm.
have thought I was just a crypto content creator.
Right.
So it was, I started my channel in January of 2018 and was covering crypto and blockchain and economics, and then started to branch out in February of 2020. I restructured my channels. I started doing 3 shows underneath the channel. So I had the Rice Crypto show for crypto, blockchain, technology. I
Mhm.
had the Rice Report covering economics and politics. And then Stranger Than Fiction was my branch out, where I was covering things that people may consider to be conspiracy theories, unproven things, history, spirituality, because everything to me kind of is in this umbrella of freedom. And there was a lot of things that I really wanted to be able to talk about, especially with everything that was starting to occur in
Mhm.
2020 in February. That's kind of the beginning of all the craziness.
Yes.
And I really didn't want to just be limited to just talking about crypto and economics. So, and the reason I got involved in crypto, as we were talking before we were recording, when I first started my channel, I was going to school for business administration.
Mhm.
And I was already familiar with the idea of Bitcoin, not so much other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin was introduced to me probably in 2015, maybe a little earlier.
Mhm.
And at the time, I really didn't care a lot about economics and didn't care about money in that aspect. I didn't, think about it as an investment for my future. And so it was when I started going to school and learning about what I was being lied to by my professors and teachers,
Yes.
as far as our history and what and how the government works and how economics work. And it really started to make me question a lot of what I was being taught and why I was being taught false information when my research was showing different. And I really started to have a really strong disdain towards central banks and finance 1.0 and how that system just is manipulated and constantly getting bailed out when they're screwing up the rest of the world.
Mhm.
And I saw Bitcoin as that way to get away from the fiat government controlled money, which keeps us indebted and as debt slaves. I mean, we have to participate and work and pay all of our bills and stuff to be able to live. So it's a modern form of slavery. And with the governments having control because of money that's worthless, I looked at Bitcoin, decentralized form of money that the governments could not control, could not manipulate. Now, unfortunately, we are seeing manipulations and stuff like that happen in the markets, which is something that I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to with like the GameStop stuff and the silver shortages. A lot of people are starting to wake up to the realities of how the stonks and that finance 1.0 market works. So I just look at blockchain as the word that I like that I learned in school was creative destruction. And it's something that it's a technology or something that comes about that replaces something that we used to use that now has become antiquated because of this new technology that was just introduced. And as an example, when compact disc came out, they made cassette tapes irrelevant.
Yeah.
And then when MP3 started coming out, they started making CDs being less relevant.
Right.
So that was what really brought me to the ideas of cryptocurrency and blockchain. And that's ultimately what made me want to start my channel and start teaching people about these ways that they can empower themselves with these technologies.
Okay, that's great. What are the what are you, because you speak to a lot of people, you know, and what are your thoughts on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general for the year ahead? What are you seeing?
Excuse me. What I'm seeing going on right now in the
Mm-hmm.
cryptocurrency space is
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna share what I see happening
Yeah.
and what I would like to see happen.
Mm.
What I'm seeing happening right now in the crypto space is you're finding ways for banks to stay relevant, Visa and MasterCard and PayPal to stay relevant
Mm-hmm.
by getting involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Because they know that when these things take on with the rest of the world and a mass adoption comes, that we won't need that intermediary, that third party. Like we don't need a PayPal to hold our Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing, and I'm also seeing the space as well, trying to help finance 1.0, your traditional financial institutions, your central banks to remain relevant.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Consensus, Joseph Lubin, one of the creators of Ethereum.
Right.
They're writing white papers for central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. So they're trying to help the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Chainlink was trying to come up with smart contract replacements for the Swift network, trying to keep it relevant where it's becoming obsolete. It's like an animal that knows it's dying, it's trying not to die. And then so you kind of have this joining of finance 1.0 and finance 2.0, because you look at the Lightning Network, you got MasterCard, Visa, and a lot of these other companies that are big investors. You look at the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, and you can see all these different banks, JP Morgan, Bank of America, all these. It's crazy how many people are involved. So they see the end coming for them. So they're trying to embrace these technologies to remain relevant. Now, on the flip side, when I feel like when cryptocurrency first came out, the majority of people were this libertarian minded people that were about be your own bank and not work with the banks, but be your own bank, which meant we didn't need the banks. So now there's this kind of part of the industry is working with finance 1.0 and trying to help in that aspect. And then you got people that are trying to work against it, where you're seeing things like DeFi, decentralized finance, where you're seeing more decentralized exchanges, DEXs. So you're seeing all these different opportunities and all these different advancements that are giving opportunities for people that go outside of the finance 1.0 element. So I'm more towards not supporting the old system. I'm not wanting to keep it relevant. I would like to move beyond that, because obviously that has not been conducive to us as a species, in my opinion.
Right. So it's interesting that you mentioned that that the legacy financial system, they are on like a dying animal, and they are doing everything that they can to
Everything.
keep up into the system, into the new system. And but I don't know whether they will be successful. I don't think they will. Um,
They can only print money for so
right,
long before it starts to
right,
become worthless,
right.
and then your high inflation, your
Mhm,
hyperinflation takes place.
mhm, mhm,
People in India
mhm,
experienced this. They even
mhm,
experienced a currency change where they said where people woke up one day and their certain bills just no longer were being accepted. You go and
mhm,
trade in some of that money,
mhm,
but you
mhm,
could see the kind of control. We don't see it so much in the United States, but you can see it in other parts of the world where some of these things have been hurtful
mhm,
towards the people of the nations, where the
mhm.
governments just kind of come in and set their own rules. I mean, we can look at Zimbabwe as an
Yeah.
example for the hyperinflation. We can look at Venezuela, what's
Mhm.
happened there.
Oh, right.
So it's now in addition to that, I mean, with the exciting things, I mean, I do like
Mhm.
gaming, blockchain gaming. I think is
Yeah.
something that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Okay.
NFTs, the non-fungible
Okay.
tokens, which can be
Yeah.
used for games, can be used as
Yeah.
deeds, can be used as concert tickets. There's
Yeah.
so many different things. So there's a lot of exciting things as well when it comes
Mhm.
to cryptocurrencies.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
just I'm more serious when it comes to this because we're at a very pivotal time period in our economic situation globally. Because in 2008, we should have seen a crash that took the whole system down.
But it
But
didn't.
instead of this, it's because they kept putting a band-aid on things by quantitative easing and printing a bunch of money up. And then, we got to also put into effect that in 2020, here in the United States and the rest of the world is going to match this up. We printed up a fifth of our money supply last year in 2020.
That's
a fifth of all the money we have on our paper and digits got produced in 2020. So we put more, like the whole money printer go burr.
Yeah.
We printed more money, put more digits on a screen than had ever been done before. And we haven't really felt the pains from that yet.
Okay.
But at the same time, like here in the United States, we've got high numbers of unemployment, almost record numbers of unemployment, while we're still hitting all-time high and record high numbers in the stock market. And you shouldn't have the two happening at the same time, because if the stock market's doing good, then people should have jobs.
Right.
Seeing high numbers of unemployment and then the stock market's going high, then you realize what's happening right now with the Federal Reserve and central banks is they're just pumping in all this liquidity into the system, keeping it alive.
So they are artificially pumping the markets.
Yeah. So it's kind of like since 2008, our whole entire system has been put on life support. Or if any of your viewers are familiar with The Walking Dead, the idea of a zombie, that's what everything is right now, is just The Walking Dead.
That's scary, man.
And all fiat money, and when I say fiat, that's money that's not backed by any sort of gold or silver or any commodities. It's only backed by the trust and faith of the government. All fiat money, and throughout all of history, always goes back to its intrinsic value. And the intrinsic value of something that's backed by nothing is nothing. It's zero.
Yeah, it's zero.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm not, I just want people to be smart. That's why I got involved in crypto. Not as financial advice, but say that things like things like cryptocurrency and things like gold and silver and other precious metals are ways that people can diversify what they have to be able to preserve, because our system is not designed for us to save money. I mean, it's just not designed. That's why you're seeing companies like Tesla with Elon Musk putting some of their cash into Bitcoin, because they know that cash is going to lose value.
Okay.
100%.
Great. Okay. Since you have mentioned this, I just wanted to ask a question. You see, the cycle of institutional investments into crypto has already happened, and it's good that it's happening, because it drives the crypto adoption. But what do you think is actually driving this interest from corporations like Elon Musk? Do they want to hedge against this inflation? Is it like it's pandemic proof? So maybe you could just give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I do look at it as kind of all the above, but definitely a hedge on inflation, because like I just said, we just printed up a fifth of our money supply. Anybody with any sort of brains is going to realize that we're going to feel the pain from that. You just haven't felt it yet. And they're already anticipating like roughly 15% loss in value in money through this year. So, I mean, essentially you're saying if you were to have your money in the bank, with the way everybody's talking, you're guaranteed to lose 15% of your money. So if you take a portion of your money and you put that in something like Bitcoin, which is possibly an asset that's going to end up going up, it essentially could be one of the better things that businesses are doing. And it should also wake people up as to why businesses are doing it, because they're doing it. I mean, not only did Elon Musk say about Bitcoin, he also talked about gold ETFs and silver ETFs and things like that. Now, I don't like the paper contracts and don't agree with going that route. You should own the physical, but he's also going into the precious metals element, because it's, precious metals have proven themselves where Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies haven't been put to this test, but the precious metals have proven themselves to be a safe haven asset. You don't buy gold and silver to get rich. You buy gold and silver to keep what you have.
Right.
So if you are rich, you stay rich, because otherwise your value of your money just goes down.
Right. I think that's a very good point that you've made. Buying gold and silver to actually stay, keep the value, store of value, right?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
about now with the gold silver ratio being what it is, it's
yeah.
very possible investing in things like silver right now could be very profitable.
Hmm.
But generally speaking,
Hmm.
the idea of buying gold and silver would just be to preserve what you have.
Right, right.
You know, we
Yeah,
know what preserving does.
yeah, and the ratio is really it's huge. Um,
Right now it is.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe thanks to JP Morgan, I think they hold the whole silver tons
They're
of
the
silver,
largest
right?
holders of silver, and
Yeah,
I think they
yeah,
hold they definitely are manipulating the markets. And it's what's really
yeah,
sad
yeah. I
is there's so
yeah,
much talk. Everybody knows it's happening, but they don't
yeah.
get in trouble for it.
And I think they came out, I think sometime last year or something like that, and they admitted to that rigging or something, right? They were like rigging the market. I saw an article saying that. Uh,
Well, they've gotten in trouble a lot of times on different
right?
things where they've
Yeah.
rigged and they paid fines.
Hmm.
Usually, so we're going to rig the market. We're
Hmm.
going to make a lot of money,
Money.
and then we're going to get in
Yeah.
trouble. You're going to slap us on the wrist, and we're going to pay you a small portion of the money
Oh,
that we made to make it all right for us to do what we do.
oh man.
So that's what the SEC says. Oh, you just violated, and then oh, we're just going to pay your fine.
Yeah.
And the idea with EOS and cryptocurrencies,
Hmm.
EOS raised over $4 billion and
Yeah. It
paid
was
like
like
less than or paid around 1.5% of
yeah.
what they earned as a fine.
Yeah, it was like a
So
1 year ICO, right? I remember. Oh my God, one
right, so
year.
you earn $4 billion, and all you have to pay is like 400 million in fines.
Yeah, exactly.
So
What's that?
what's the risk to reward ratio there?
Yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah.
gladly pay somebody 10% of $1
10%.
billion if I get to keep the other 90. That would be a beautiful thing. But I'm not a financial institution. I'm not part of Finance 1.0. I'm not part of the
Yeah,
traditional legacy system.
legacy system. Yeah. Oh. Um, okay. The next question is, what do you think is the biggest challenge that crypto faces for mass adoption? What do you think is the pivotal transition that must happen for crypto to be mainstream? Should something happen?
Well, the best thing
Hmm,
that would happen is people using applications and platforms and not actually realize that they're using anything that's crypto or blockchain. The complexity right now, setting up a wallet, writing down your backup passphrases and things like that, where we know who are in the space to do these things. For somebody who's new, some people don't think to write down all this information, and then people end up losing their
hmm,
cryptocurrencies. And you got to think about how much Bitcoin is supposedly locked up in the blockchain. It's never going to come off because people lost their private keys,
yeah,
their login
yeah.
information, whatever the case might be. So we need to have like simpler ease of use for one.
Hmm,
Um, I like the idea of when we talk about some projects, I'll tell you about a
hmm,
project, but
hmm,
Unstoppable Domains, they have like a human readable address. So
hmm,
I have it set up with my wallet that if you're using an Unstoppable Domains wallet that's
hmm,
accepted amongst other wallets,
hmm.
then you wouldn't actually have to use my receiving address to send me crypto. You could actually send to ricecrypto.crypto.
Oh,
So it's a
okay,
human readable address.
okay.
And if you send to that address from a supported wallet, it will go
Hmm,
to the correct place it's supposed to go to. So the idea that we can get rid of key management, private key management, and
hmm,
things like that to make it a little bit easier for people,
hmm.
I think would be a big thing, because writing down backup phrases, trying to set up a ledger, these things are not like the easiest things for people to be able to do. And if you see technological barriers, you're
Hmm.
obviously going to have worse issues with older people because that digital divide.
Hmm.
So ease of use and not knowing that you're using cryptocurrencies or blockchain, I think, is really going to help. So
Okay,
and there are some projects, like I said, like Unstoppable Domains doesn't have their own cryptocurrency. It's just
okay.
a project. So that's why I was
Project.
listing that as like an
Got it.
example.
Okay, okay. So, what are the projects that you like, that you are interested in, the crypto projects that you think that, are worthwhile looking into?
Okay, well, the first one I'll mention is a cryptocurrency and blockchain called Nexus, and people can
Okay.
find them at
Okay.
nexus.io.
Okay.
They are kind of competitive to something like Ethereum, like a
Mm-hmm.
smart contract type platform that is also working on scalability, working
Mm-hmm.
on creating a decentralized internet, a place
Mm-hmm.
that dApps, decentralized apps and stuff can be built.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they solved is they have a signature chain where
Mm-hmm.
for me to log in with their
Mm-hmm.
wallet, I don't have to write down any of the backup phrases and stuff like that. I have a username, a
Mm-hmm.
password, and a PIN. And those
Okay.
things, so you can have a Nexus wallet on your computer,
Mm-hmm.
and I could come in and log into my wallet on your computer, check my stuff, do whatever, log out. You'll never be able to log into mine unless you have my information. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can log right into yours. So it's like me going into Twitter and then me logging out on Twitter and letting you log in on Twitter on your, so it's that easy. And
Okay.
they're trying with, in addition to what they're trying to do with creating a decentralized internet, is they're going to be using here within the next year or two low Earth orbit satellites and
Mm.
ground communication to create a mesh network.
Okay.
The creator of Nexus, his father, his name is Jim Cantrell. The creator's
Mm-hmm.
name is Colin Cantrell. So
Mm-hmm.
Colin's dad's name is Jim Cantrell.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Cantrell was asked by Elon Musk to be a
Mm-hmm.
co-founder of SpaceX.
Okay.
So the whole idea of what Starlink is trying to do was an idea that I feel like Elon stole from what Nexus was
Nexus
doing,
was doing. Yeah.
but it's a centralized version. So what Nexus is trying to do is create a
A
constellation
decent
of satellites like Starlink, but it's decentralized and it'll be tokenized, and people can own portions of said low Earth satellites or ground stations. They're also working on a 3D quantum resistant blockchain. It's an amazing project. They've already got all the scaling issues worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So where all these other platforms are probably going to fail
Mm-hmm.
because they're not going to be able to take on the amount of users
Mm-hmm.
without the fees and things getting to be outrageous like we're seeing with Ethereum right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ethereum
Yeah.
2.0 is supposed to solve that, but
It
can
was.
they? Is
Yeah.
Ethereum 2.0 going to be successful? And then you have your
Yeah.
Polkadots, your Cardanos,
Yeah.
your Elrons,
Correct.
but Nexus is going to be that lifeboat. In
Okay.
addition to that, I'm a
Mm.
big fan of
Mm.
Wax for their NFTs. I think they're
NFTs. Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the premier
It's
NFT
huge now,
platforms.
NFTs. I'm seeing like, yeah, even Ken Bozak is like
Oh,
in it.
he's the CEO of
He's a
NFTs or something like that.
CEO.
He's a funny guy, man. I love my Ken Mosaic.
Yeah,
He's my
yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so basically, okay, so what is Wex? Maybe you can just give us a quick,
Well,
description. What does it do?
it's built off using the EOS IO, so
Mhm.
it works on kind of EOS in that sense.
Okay.
But they've basically have worked on a way of just specializing their code base to
Mhm.
work specifically for these non-fungible tokens that can be.
Mhm.
So an NFT could be anything from artwork
Mhm.
to a game piece that could be used in game, that
Mhm.
could be taken out of game and traded, because that's one of the big arguments people have with gaming is I've earned all this stuff, I beat the game, and I can't do
Mhm.
anything with these things I earned.
Mhm.
Well, essentially we could put these in NFT forms and they could be transferable. Maybe you can use them in other games in the future as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
Then you can also do things like replacing the concert ticket industry, because of
Mhm.
so much going on with scalping and fake tickets and stuff like that. You
Right.
could replace that with NFTs.
Mhm.
You could also be doing like your kind of like your house deeds
Mhm.
and marriage licenses and things like
Mhm.
that. You could do in the form of an NFT as well.
Okay.
So there's an infinite amount of possibilities of things that you can use this technology for. In the future, you can have a smart contract for a mortgage that you're going to be doing, or some sort of loan. You can have a smart contract,
Mhm.
and then essentially you can have an NFT to represent your stake in said contract. And once your contract's up, you redeem your NFT and you get the
Mhm.
physical title or deed or something like
Title
that.
of
So
it.
there's an infinite amount of possibilities of what the NFTs can do.
Right.
But I
Right.
think that that's going to be one of those things that is going to help bring the mainstream adoption, just from
Right.
the multiple different use
Right.
cases of
Yeah.
what NFTs can actually do.
Yeah.
Um, and then, I'm big on anything that's providing privacy and
Mhm.
decentralization. I'm sponsored by Monarch. So Monarch is a
Mhm.
decentralized wallet. They have a lot of different services in one place
Mhm.
that some of the services require a KYC.
Mhm.
But if you use something like Monarch, you're only doing one KYC for all the different services instead of doing them individually.
Right.
So that's kind of cool that it allows people that option if they want to have that option. And I just recently I covered a project that's called Incognito. And it's something that they have a decentralized wallet
Mhm.
that allows you to send various cryptocurrencies privately. So it's not on chain and allows for anonymity, not pseudo anonymity, but anonymity. And they also have a decentralized exchange, like a privacy version. So think of Uniswap
Mhm.
private with zero trading fees.
Wow.
So these are the kind of things that I like because Bitcoin is only pseudo anonymous, meaning that you can track things if you're good with computers.
Mhm.
Governments have chain analysis tools. There's companies that do this.
Mhm.
They can track your IP. They can figure out who you are
Okay.
using things like incognito or
Mhm.
shielded transactions or shufflers or mixers, which
Mhm.
sometimes aren't approved,
Mhm.
are ways of you having that fungibility and privacy. And um, so when people are talking about Bitcoin being used for like the dark markets and
Mhm.
being used by criminals and stuff, that would
Mhm.
just be the most asinine thing for people to do because you're leaving a trail behind you.
Trail.
You would be you'd be doing better using cash in whatever country you're in
Mhm.
because it's generally you don't have that trail. It's just
Right.
you're giving somebody cash. So for somebody to use Bitcoin now, maybe Monero, if somebody wanted to be private, or Zcash or something that was
Mhm.
aimed towards that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so and then I'm a big fan of Presearch as well. They're another sponsor, but
Okay.
Presearch is a platform that's a decentralized search engine
Okay.
that allows you to control your data. You're bypassing Google and stuff like that. Also allows you to be able to earn a cryptocurrency, which they have called their pre token, PRE. So
Okay.
it's another way for people to be able to accumulate. And since I've been involved with them, the price of the token has went from like 2 pennies to 9 cents, 10 cents, which is almost a 5x.
Mm.
So for people who have earned, it's like basic attention token in a way with
Bat. Yeah.
Brave, bat with
Mhm.
Brave. Yeah. So you're earning with your search history and things like
Mm.
that through Presearch. And then Presearch also has a really cool concept of something they're doing called keyword staking,
Mhm.
where you stake some of your pre
Mhm.
for a particular keyword. So when somebody's searching
Mhm.
for that word,
Mhm.
your advertisement will come up
Mhm.
as the first thing that people see. So like you could see, like when you search something on Google, you can see the top searches are usually
Right.
paid search
Yes.
results, kind of the same thing,
Okay. Okay.
but for the decentralized space.
Okay. Cool. Cool. That sounds great. I'll look them up later. And for people that are new to the space, and what are the red flags do you think they should be looking for when they are searching for a project to invest in? Um,
Yeah, that's a good one. Anything multi-level marketing is an automatic red flag in
right.
crypto.
Right.
I'm not going to say that everything in multi-level marketing is 100% bad.
BitConnect, right? BitConnect.
BitConnect, yeah. I mean, but there are so many, and as the bull run happens, there's so many platforms that are doing
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Also, any project that is promising you a return on investment,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a good one either, because you
Mm,
shouldn't be promising anybody anything like that, and you're going to end
right.
up having some sort of ramifications for going against what a lot of countries would want you to do. So anybody who's saying you invest in our coin and you're going to make 10 times the amount of money you invest, if it sounds too good to be true, it's
True.
usually too good to be true.
Okay.
Now, there are good situations, but people, depending on what your mindset is and why you're getting involved in crypto. If you're getting involved in crypto purely to make money, just make sure you're doing your research and you're
Mm,
buying low and you're selling high.
mm,
It sounds easier than done, but that would be the concept. Otherwise, if you really believe in this technology and you believe in the creative destruction it brings,
mm-hmm,
come up with a couple different plans, maybe some
mm-hmm,
long-term plans, maybe some short-term plans, so you can do
mm-hmm,
some trading on a short term, but in the long term, hodl your coins.
mm,
Because a lot of times, if you speak to the majority of people who are not successful traders,
mm-hmm.
they would have been better off if they would have just held their
Held
coins.
their coins. Yeah. Yeah.
and not try to trade, swing trade, and make more
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Right.
greed is a killer. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're trading, you really have to take the emotion out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the reasons why I'm not a good trader, because it's really hard for me to take the
Yeah.
emotion out of me
True.
playing with something that helps me to survive. I don't have
Right.
enough money to play with
Right.
that I can play with it comfortably and be like, okay, cool, I lost
Okay.
it. It would.
It would
So
be.
I try to be smart. I've made some bad mistakes.
Mhm.
And when I first got involved in cryptocurrency, one of the things I did was get greedy, and I got involved in a multi-level marketing thing. It wasn't BitConnect, but it was May of 2017. And I lost what was equivalent now to 1.4 Bitcoin.
Wow.
So it's an expensive lesson,
Yeah.
but it's an expensive lesson that I try to pass on to other people. That's why the first thing I said was, if it's multi-level marketing, definitely do your research 100%. And also when you're checking out projects, the other thing I would encourage people is check out the teams,
Mm-hmm.
check out the goals of what they're trying to do. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
that it's not just an idea that you're speculating on. Make sure it's something that they're actually going to do.
True.
Um, because otherwise they're just raising money for an idea that they haven't. And that's what a lot of the ICO craze we had in 2017 was. That everybody had an idea and everybody's investing in people's ideas, and half those ideas never even made it anywhere past a white paper. And somebody ended up with a lot of Ethereum and Bitcoin, and now they're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
So, it's check out the teams, look at the
Right.
goals, where they're going with it, and then go into like GitHub, where people
Mm-hmm.
have their code repositories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a coder,
Mm-hmm.
but you can go to other projects that are good and legit,
Mm-hmm.
and try to get an idea of what these other GitHub pages look like for a Bitcoin or for an Ethereum
Mm-hmm.
or for any other cryptocurrency, so you can compare and get an idea, because you might just see like 2 or 3 little things that were put on there, and it's like really somebody just put the most basic information they could to put together a cryptocurrency with no intention to go beyond that. So if you go on their GitHubs, you could see like, is there a decent amount of people working on this? Is there more than one person? Is there
Mm-hmm.
a community behind this? So it really just takes a lot of like digging and doing your own research. And
Right.
when you do that, it's so much more worth your time, because the more you do it,
Mm-hmm.
the more you'll be able to recognize things a lot quicker in projects. It's where you don't have to go through the process of checking everything out with a fine tooth and comb per se.
Mm-hmm.
The more that you start looking at things and finding things that don't feel right or look right, the more you'll recognize that in other projects. So now I can almost look at something with a glance and get a good picture of whether I'm wasting my time or not.
Right. Okay.
So there's a lot of wasting time out there. And
Yeah.
time is our most valuable asset, I think.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, and I think I want to ask you, I think one last thing is just that, we've been hearing this thing called the Great Reset, and it's like so in your face. And what are your thoughts on that? And how does cryptos tie into that, if it does at all?
Well, okay, so the Great Reset is coming from the World Economic Forum, IMF kind of direction. And the World Economic Forum is just a bunch of rich people who got together and created this forum. So it's nothing that was official or anything like that. It's just your wealthy people trying to make decisions for the rest of the world. There's obviously goals to push towards what I feel like is one world government systems, one world economic systems. Whether it's the easiest thing to do or not, I really feel like they're pushing towards these type of goals. As I was telling you before we started recording, the idea of the Great Reset is, like you said, it's in your face. You're hearing, and it's been in your kind of information for several years. It's just been kind of getting out, and people are getting more comfortable with it. And now that we're here, everything that we've been experiencing this past year, it's starting to become more of a topic. A lot of people in the United States were thinking that Donald Trump was going to do some things, and he was going to somehow possibly restore the Republic of the United States, that there may be a global currency reset that would have taken all the currencies of the world and reset them to an equal value. And imagine that, because imagine how many wars take place because of money, and how much of a difference it is sometimes with the valuation of currency between countries. So for a period of time here in the United States, it was very beneficial for somebody who lived in Mexico to come here, work here, and send their money back home, because it would go a lot further.
Exchange
Because it was
rate.
because it was worth that much more. If everything was equal, it would be a game changer. Now, on the flip side of that, you have the World Economic Forum, International Monetary Fund, that's pushing for this thing. You will own nothing and be happy by 2030. You know, and they're trying to get you, and that's obviously, 8-9 years off, but more like 9 years off. But they're saying it. They're getting people comfortable with it. They're getting people to be, so it's not so much of a surprise. They're getting celebrities to come out and say stuff. They have their website. I'm going to be interviewing a guy tomorrow. I'm not sure when you're releasing this, but it's a guy named Cyrus A. Parsa, and he just wrote a book called The Great Reset. And he does a lot of studying of Chinese politics, economics, and AI. And he actually sued Google and a bunch of other companies in 2019. And he wrote a book in 2019 as well about AI. And we're going to be talking a little bit more from his research perspectives, but it's just really this idea of true communism is really what it comes down to. Damn. In communism, like the state owns everything, and everybody gets what they need. So, when I grew up thinking about things like communist countries like Russia, a doctor who has one kid and a janitor who has 5 kids, the janitor with 5 kids is going to make more money than a doctor with 1 kid, because he needs to take care of 5 kids versus 1. Here in the United States, the doctor went to school, got all this education, and he's going to get paid a lot more than that janitor. The janitor is going to be struggling to take care of his kids. So which one is the right one? Which is the right way to go? I'm not a fan of the communism that I've seen exist in this world. Some of the ideologies in Karl Marx's book, I'm not going to say are bad, but overall, I don't think we've experienced communism the way that Karl Marx wrote it. And I don't necessarily think that is the direction that we as a species, collectively, man and woman, should be taking. I think that we should be learning from our mistakes of our past and trying to start something new that's going to be more beneficial to everybody, and start getting rid of some of these aspects of things like politicians and things that we don't need, because we have technologies now that we can represent ourselves. We don't need to have a third party to represent our vote, because we have technology that should be able to give us the ability to make those votes ourselves. So I would like to see us reorganize and rethink the ways that we do governance.
Okay, great. Thanks. So so just tell us, where can we find you? Where do we follow you? How do we, keep up with your work? So
on YouTube, I'm Rice Tvx, and as I was mentioning, I was rebranding from Rice Crypto, so I still think you could find me as Rice Crypto, but you'll see Rice Tvx is my brand name. And I do currently have a Patreon channel if people would like to check that out, and that's at Rice Crypto right now. I haven't changed that over. I post up exclusive content there, and also early access to videos that I do, and it's a way to support what I do directly as well. Other than that, I'm on pretty much most everywhere on social media at Rice Tvx or at Rice Crypto, and I'm pretty much on most every social media sites. I would encourage people to check out my sister channels on Library and Odyssey, because with all the censorship happening, I never know when or if YouTube might just take my channel away. So I'd like for people to know where they can find me just in case. So I have backups of all of my videos. So, and then I post up extra videos on Library and Odyssey as well, to encourage people to check out those platforms, because they are, I should have mentioned Library with the projects that I'm excited about. Library, LBRY,
right.
excuse me, is the most decentralized content sharing platform that I've found out there. When you're dealing with storing content, websites, and servers, it's hard to have true decentralization, and there's
Yeah.
some aspects of what library does that are centralized, but for the most part, the core of it is it's very decentralized and is distributed on nodes.
Mm-hmm.
And they do reward their content creators and the people who are watching content creators with their own cryptocurrency library credits, LBC.
Mm-hmm.
So another way that people can earn crypto and support content creators as well.
Yeah. Right. So thank you so much for coming to the show. It's real great
Thank
pleasure
you.
to speak to you. You have a wealth of knowledge, and yeah, I'm going to digest all what you have told me. So,
Well, anytime
so
you want to, I mean, I know sometimes, I know we had to do a little bit of rescheduling and I appreciate
yeah,
you being really cool with that.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, anytime you want to invite me back on, feel free. And if any of
Great.
your listeners have any specific questions that they'd
Yeah,
like to ask, I'll
yeah.
definitely do my best to. Did you ask me any of the questions that your viewers or that
Yeah,
your,
yeah. Yes, I asked the question
okay.
today. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure because I know that you said you had some people that had, and I appreciate the
Yeah,
people that
yeah,
did put
yeah,
forth
yeah,
questions.
yeah. I managed to slot those questions inside in our
Sweet,
conversation.
sweet. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon.
Yes.